Zeus screamed. The sound tore through the ancient Greek skies like a crack of thunder. On Olympus, the king of the gods staggered, clutching his head as if it were about to burst. No blade had touched him, no enemy was near, but something inside was pushing to get out. Something ancient, powerful, and unstoppable. This wasn't an illness, it was a birth. And what came out would become one of the most feared and revered figures in all of Greek mythology, Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. Born not from a mother's body, but from her father's skull. It's a story of fear, power, and wisdom refusing to stay buried, a moment where thought itself became the womb. You're watching Vortex Mythology. Let's step into the moment the king of the gods was split open. Before Athena existed, there was Metis, the titaness of wisdom, counsel, and cunning thought. Zeus had taken her as his wife, trusting her intelligence in matters of strategy. But from the depths of the cosmos came a chilling prophecy. Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky, warned Zeus that Metis would bear 2 children. The first would be a daughter. The second, a son, destined to overthrow him. Zeus knew what it meant to overthrow a parent. He had done it himself. And so, gripped by fear, he committed a horrific act. He pursued Metis as she transformed into birds, serpents, and fish, until finally, when she became a tiny fly, he swallowed her whole. Inside him, the goddess of wisdom lived on. He believed the prophecy had been buried, but wisdom cannot be silenced so easily. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Zeus ruled Olympus with his thunderbolt in hand, but then it began, a dull ache in his head that grew sharper by the day. Soon, the pain became so fierce that it echoed across the heavens. The king of the gods was writhing in agony, and no one knew why. Something inside was trying to be born. The day it happened, Olympus trembled. Clouds churned like storm-tossed seas. Lightning tore through the sky as Zeus staggered across his golden halls, clutching his head. His temples pounded like war drums. His roars of pain rolled through the mountains, reaching mortal ears far below. No god had ever seen Zeus like this. Not in battle, not in fury. He was undone by something within. Desperation turned to panic. The gods gathered around him, unsure whether to flee or help. In this chaos, Zeus summoned aid. Some say it was Hephaestus, the god of fire and forge. Others claim it was Prometheus or Hermes. Whoever it was, their solution was as shocking as the pain itself. An axe raised, a divine blade, capable of cleaving stone, was aimed at Zeus's skull. The air grew still. Then, with a single, perfect strike, the axe split open the head of the king of the gods. A crack of thunder followed the sound of metal on bone. From the wound, light burst forth. It wasn't blood, but brilliance, as if wisdom itself had been trapped inside. And then she appeared. A figure emerged, not as a baby, but fully grown. She wore a bronze helmet. Her armor gleamed like the surface of a shield at dawn, and in her hand was a spear. Her first sound was a war cry that echoed across Olympus, startling gods and shaking the earth below. It was the sound of wisdom reborn. Athena had arrived, born not from a mother's body, but from a father's fractured skull. But why was this birth unlike any other? What did it mean for the goddess, and for the world that worshipped her? For a moment, Olympus fell silent. The echo of Athena's war cry still hung in the air. From pain and fear, something extraordinary had emerged. Zeus, who had swallowed wisdom to keep it locked away, now stood face to face with it, armed and impossible to ignore. The Greeks didn't treat this as just a miraculous birth. Every part of this story carried meaning. In a single moment, they explored power, intellect, gender, and fate, all through the image of a goddess stepping out of a god's skull. Zeus swallowed Metis to silence prophecy, but wisdom cannot be buried. By consuming her, he became the vessel through which wisdom would be reborn. Athena wasn't born despite his act, but because of it. Her birth redefined creation itself. In bypassing the mother, Zeus claimed both intellect and womb, turning logical, masculine thought into feminine act of creation. Wisdom, once the realm of the feminine, was now reborn through the masculine, a declaration of authority, and a warning of how power reshapes truth. Athena also embodied balance, mind and might, thought and force. Born from the head, she was intellect made weapon. Calm where Ares was chaos, measured where he was blind fury. Her spear symbolized not destruction, but precision. Wisdom sharpened into strength. Athena's presence transformed Olympus. Goddess of wisdom, craft and strategy, she stood for discipline and justice in conflict. Zeus's counselor, yet beyond his control. When Athens chose between Poseidon's salt spring and her olive tree, they chose her gift of peace and endurance. Unaffected by desire or domination, she remained self-contained, intellect personified, sovereign and eternal. The birth of Athena is both unsettling and profound. It begins with a prophecy whispered by ancient forces, moves through fear and violence, and ends with the arrival of a goddess who would shape the destiny of gods and mortals alike. In trying to cage wisdom, he became its vessel. He tried to consume Metis to secure his throne, but instead, he became the vessel of something greater than himself. Athena is living proof that wisdom cannot be digested. It finds new forms. Her story also reflects how myth can reframe gender and power. By removing the mother entirely, the myth glorifies Zeus's intellect as the source of creation. But ironically, what emerges is a goddess, a woman who embodies intelligence, strategy, and autonomy. Athena's birth is a paradox. She is born of fear, but becomes the face of rationality. She emerges from masculine power, but wields her own. She is both daughter and idea, both divine figure and symbol of the mind's strength. From the split skull of Zeus came a goddess who would advise heroes, protect cities, and shape the fate of wars. Her birth is a reminder that wisdom often arrives through pain, and that attempts to control it can give rise to something even greater. So, what do you think Athena's birth truly represents? Is it the triumph of wisdom over fear, or Zeus's ultimate act of control? If you're drawn to the strange, the symbolic, and the powerful, like and subscribe to Vortex Mythology, and join us as we explore more of mythology's darkest and most fascinating moments.